All right. Hello, Stephanie Anderson with Tax Prose, Prose. The Latin meaning of the word prose is straightforward, which is something I like to demonstrate in my work is straightforwardness. So I wanted to make a video about what are a person's options if they haven't filed their taxes or they have outstanding tax liability that's getting old and they're in the collection system. So I'd really like to talk about what's going on. So I am not able to see any of the comments, but I will respond to them after this is over. So what's going on is that there are millions and millions of people in our country that are behind on filing their taxes and paying the amount that they're required to pay. It's a big part of our society. It's a big part of my day-to-day life. And I just have so much to say about it. So I'm going to say it. Okay, so I made some notes and I want to share my screen with you. Here, screen one. Okay, so I have these notes right here that says, first thing I want to talk about is filing back tax returns. You must be in compliance. You must file all back tax returns before attempting to negotiate with the Franchise Tax Board or the Internal Revenue Service. Now, yes, there can be emergency things done about bank levies and wage garnishments. Get those calls every day. You know, all of a sudden there's no money in the bank account, or they're taking a big part of your paycheck and you may not make it for the next couple of weeks. There are emergency things that we can do, but they're difficult and they're not planned. And when they come in, they become a super urgent, emergency, and everything else that we've been working on that day gets pushed aside. So let's not, let it get that bad. So the first thing that you want to do before you try to negotiate with the IRS or the FTB is file your back tax returns. For the IRS, we're going to go back 6 years. For the state of California, we'll talk more about that, but for California, we'll have to go back farther than 6 years. Now, if you're filing back tax returns, that are 6 years old, more likely than not, you don't have the right information. Okay, and that's okay. Don't let that stop you. What we're going to do about that is we're going to pull your transcripts. We're going to pull a wage and income transcript so that the information reported on the tax return is going to match what's associated with your social security number or your EIN number. The supercomputer matches that. It looks for discrepancies. And if there are discrepancies, you're going to get a CP 2000 notice. Okay, and then that's a whole nother thing that we have to unpack. And then you can also get accuracy related penalties for not, filing an accurate tax return. So how do you get around that? Is you pull your wage and income transcripts, right? So the first step in solving any problem in life, no matter what it is taking an inventory of a problem. So we're going to start by taking an inventory of the problem. And if we have power of attorney on file for the taxpayer, then we can pull that data, right? We have specific software, we can pull that data and we can look at it. We can provide reports and we can provide strategic plans of action of like, what's the best way to attack this? And that's, a really important example of why you would want to use a professional. So there are enrolled agents, CPAs, and tax attorneys that can file power of attorney. You have to be one of those three. I'm an enrolled agent. An enrolled agent is something that most people don't know what it is. I'm not going to go into it. Just know that we have the ability to represent taxpayers before the federal government. All right. So now that you've filed all your back tax returns, you have an inventory of the problem, you know how much money you at least know your tax liability, right? Calculating penalties and interest at this point is very complex, and we're just going to try to get a range here of what the back tax liability is. Then you take that amount and divide it by 72. In general, depending on how much you owe, let's just say most taxpayers in general, we're going to take that amount and divide it by 72. And then you get that number, and we're going to ask you, can you pay this amount every month for the next 72 months? Most people immediately, their knee-jerk reaction is, oh no, I can't pay that. I mean, there's just, okay, all right, it's cool. Let's pause for a moment and let's talk about what some of your other options are. Okay. So paying taxes is about our ability to pay in general, right? The IRS is so generous. We have so many options. We have so many opportunities to stay in compliance and clean this up and not let this take us down. We have so many options and so many ways to do it. But people in general are fearful. In general, they're paralyzed. They feel shame. They feel guilt. And I understand. But, an enrolled agent like myself, the enrolled agents on my team, CPA on our team, we understand, right? We can be a safe ear to talk to and confide in. Let's get this behind you. So what you want to be aware of are, what are the national standards? And I had it up. Let me find it really quick. Oh my goodness. Okay. Well, this is Form 433A. If you cannot pay that full amount divided by 72, then the next step we're going to do is we're going to take a financial information collection statement, Form 433A. In general, look, there are many nuances and complexities to these things, but I'm just giving you a general idea of what's happening. So you're going to start with this form, which is 6 pages long. Okay. And what you can see is it's an inventory of your assets and your liabilities. Potentially, you may have a business. All right. We need to know, what is the income? What is the expenses? What are your assets? What are your liabilities? So your personal net worth, right? What's going on with your money? And then just because you spend, let's say, for example, you spend $700 a month on food. Well, $700 a month on food, more likely than not, is not going to be accepted because it's going to be restricted by the national standards. And I believe that's $466. Okay, so first we have to go through this, and this is a pretty arduous exercise, and you cannot lie on this. This is going to be double checked, with computers, and those computers know a lot more than we do. So there's just no reason to lie. There are so many options and it's so incredibly broad and roomy and generous that you could just forget about it. There is a solution, and we're going to find it. So we start by filling out that form, okay? And then as your representative, I'm going to get on the horn on the practitioner priority hotline, and I'm going to go over all this information in detail with an agent. And I'm going to more likely than not have to submit 3 months of bank statements, right? And what am I doing here? I'm proving that you cannot pay the full amount that is normally required under an installment agreement, right? Which is taking the whole amount and dividing it by 72. I'm going to say my client doesn't have enough disposable income for that. Would you accept this lesser amount? Okay. And I've had great luck with PPIAs. The truth is, if you haven't filed your taxes in years, more likely, you may not be able to really genuinely afford it. So let's find out where you stand, how much you can pay. And then every 2 years, they have the right to ask us for another Form 433A and 3 months of bank statements. See how your situation has changed, right, in 2 years. And during this, I just want to say this, when you get into an installment agreement, there are user fees, right? But if you go under a direct debit installment agreement, the user fee is less. And then once you've made 6 months of payments on a direct debit installment agreement, your status your status starts to change. You start to look like a good taxpayer, right? And this is the space that we want to get to. This is the space where the real negotiating begins. Because at this point, you've been our client for a few months, at least 6 months, 6, 7, 8 months. Now we're going to make sure that next year's tax return is filed on time. No more of this not filing your tax returns. That's over. We cannot live like that. Look, not filing your tax returns is illegal. We can't do it. We have to file our tax returns. So it's okay to file your tax return in O. That's okay. That is not as terrifying as people think it is. There are solutions, there are ways to manage that amount that we owe. But if you're not filing your returns, all that you're doing is reducing your status, breaking the law, increasing the amount of penalties, and making this whole mental thing of, trying to get through the problem significantly worse. So just go ahead and file your returns, even if you owe. It's better to file an O than to not file. Okay, so we're not going to let you fall behind on your tax returns anymore. Now you've been in there, your returns are getting filed on time. You've been in a direct debit installment agreement for 6 months. Now I start going, I'm not going to give away my inventory for free. I'm not going to give away my years of experience that I earned. Okay, I sat in that office day in and day out and earned this experience. I'm not going to give away, but at that point, that's when I go in and start to do some serious negotiating and get some things done. But we have to have that initial foundation set. Okay, so that's what I'm going to say about that. All right, the next thing is currently not collectible. And I have this here on the Taxpayer Advocate website. This is a government website. There's the Taxpayer Advocate Service. You're welcome to use that. There are people that never want to work, never are going to pay a tax professional to help them. Maybe they can't afford it, and on that note, we have payment plans for us as well, right? We can help you start getting your life back, and you can pay us on our payment plan as well. But let's say there's people that aren't, can't or won't for whatever reason. They can try to go through the Taxpayer Advocate Service. And I love their website. It is so informational. I love this website. So it says here that, if you go into CNC status, one of the big negative drawbacks of that is that there's going to be a notice of federal tax lien filed. And this, if you have any assets in your name, is going to prevent you from the ability to sell them. And then you're going to need an enrolled agent again to help, with a lien discharge or withdrawal or subordination. That's a whole nother thing that I'm not going to get into. But CNC status could be a good solution for someone who really doesn't have a whole lot of income and just needs, to get out of the collection system. So we have CNC status, and it works just like a PPIA in the respect that every 2 years, they can ask for another Form 433 and more bank statements just to see if your situation has changed, in 2 years. So I'm going to come back over here. Be aware of your statute of limitations. There's a statute of limitations for the tax and for any refunds that could potentially be due for you. The statute of limitations around the tax is called the CSED date. Which I can't find the page very quickly, but the CSED date means, generally the IRS has 10 years from the date that they were assessed. Again, that's a general statement. There's exceptions to everything, right? There's nothing more complex than tax. And so, years ago when they said, oh, if you want to be a tax professional, one of the things is you must love being a student. Well, when I was younger, school was there. There was nothing I liked more than school and education and always wanting to learn. And so that was really one of the top reasons that attracted me to tax, was that we are going to be perpetual students. And it's absolutely true. Never, ever, you never master this, you never stop learning. Plus, it's always changing. So anyway, in general, 10 years to collect the tax from the feds. Now, if you live in the state of California, or if you even had California source income, we're talking about 20 years, right? And we all know, well, maybe you don't know, but The Franchise Tax Board is going to come knocking before the IRS does. They are swift. And they're going to come in, they're going to send you some notices that you may or may not receive. Who knows? Did you move? Did you update your address? Again, if you haven't filed tax returns and they don't have the current address, you see how this starts to snowball, right? You may have gotten a notice that there's going to be a levy or a wage garnishment, but if you didn't read your mail or they don't have the current address, you're going to be shocked when you go to your bank account and there's no money in there. Okay. And then you're going to go online and try to find somebody who can help you get that money back. And that's a person like myself, an enrolled agent that works in the resolution space, right? There are CPAs that work in this space too. There's more and more CPAs getting on board, but in general, enrolled agents really thrive in this space. And I love this space. I love going through this journey with taxpayers of like, oh God, it's just so much. I haven't shared this with anybody. It's really digging on me, it's stressing me out, it's depleting me. And I just want to get my finances in order. And going through that journey with someone is so incredibly satisfying, because it feels so hopeless and it's so stressful. And then when you get to the other side and your account is clean and you don't owe, oh my God, that's an indescribable feeling. And I get to walk that path with people all the time. And I love it. I love it. It feels just so good and to really solve this problem. All right. And then the refund statute of limitations is here again on the Taxpayer Advocate website. I love it. Generally, you must file a claim for credit or refund within 3 years from the date you filed your original tax return or 2 years from the date that you paid the tax, whichever is later. So again, if you're taking forever to file your tax returns and you have a refund, you are putting that refund at risk. Like it just isn't going to count for anything. So get those returns filed. All right, the next thing we have is innocent spouse, which is a highly complex thing, and it's not that common, so I'm not going to go into it. I have had a successful innocent spouse case. It took almost 3 years to go through the whole thing. It was very, very long process, but it was a genuine innocent spouse case. So if you believe, that you are in a marital situation and you believe you are innocent as far as the tax liabilities go, or you were injured, innocent or injured, those are two possible things that could happen. Just talk to a professional, call us, call our office, let us know, and we'll walk you through it. We're going to do a brief interview on the phone or on Zoom, and we're going to find out where you land in all of this, and we're going to find the best possible solution for you. All right, so okay. The Fresh Start program. Oh my goodness, there are so many radio ads out there on the Fresh Start program. I get so many calls, even though I'm not doing these radio ads, but people are like, they hear this Fresh Start program and they think, oh, can I just start over with the IRS? Well, maybe. So the Fresh Start is like a tagline for the Offer and Compromise program. And before you fall for this sexy marketing that's out there on the Fresh Start program, do yourself a favor and come over here to the IRS website and use the pre-qualifier tool. Look, just be honest with yourself. You don't have to share this information with anyone, but get to know your situation. So go through this honestly. There's no reason to lie. You're not going to get away with lying. Just go through it. It doesn't collect your name. Okay, you don't have to put your name in here, but this is going to give you some awareness on if you qualify for the Offer and Compromise or not, right? The last time I looked, I haven't looked recently, but the last time I looked, there was fewer than 200,000 offers that were accepted in America. And we got millions of people here. Okay, we got millions of people that have no retirement fund, that have less than $1,000 in savings. We don't have, like, half of our country isn't, rich and affluent, right? And there was still fewer than 200,000 of these offers that were accepted. So in general, I'm just going to say this, they're going to look at you holistically as a human being and what you're capable of earning. They're going to look at the next 24 months and kind of gauge based on some, algorithms and statistics and information that they have on what they could potentially collect from you in the next 24 months. That's really what they're looking at. So if you have a medical issue or, whatever it is, this is deep, right? So not everybody is going to qualify for this. The truth is about 90% of all resolution cases are going to end in an installment agreement. But are you getting the best installment agreement? And are you getting the best possible options for removal of penalties, for penalty abatement? These are questions you want to ask yourself. This is a very important part of our life as people that live in the United States and people that live in California. This is a really big part of our life that's going to determine your ability to function in society, right? Buy a home, it gets what do I want to say? Student loans and student grants, and like a lot of things fall around this. I believe that tax is the foundation of finance, and that's really a strong reason why I went into tax. So when you take accounting in college, you can go into all kinds of different places after that, right? You can go into audit, you can go into corporate accounting. And I saw all the way along in my studying of accounting that tax was the foundation. Tax is the foundation of our finances. So if you're trying to get your finances under control, you want to start here. This is step number one. And I love doing this work with taxpayers. I love being a part of the solution. I love getting this fear and this stress and this depleting. I want that behind for you. I want to walk through this with you and guide you through this. And it's not a short journey. It can take a while, but you get the better results the longer you stick with it. So yeah, I just had that all bottled up inside of me today. And I know it's a Sunday afternoon, but I really wanted to get it out. Okay, so thank you so much for listening. And here, let me bring up our website. Alrighty. Here's our website. So if you would like to talk about us, don't talk about us. You want to talk with us, go schedule an appointment here. And here you can schedule an appointment. We have multiple practitioners on our team, right? We have we have quite a few enrolled agents and one CPA. So we would love to talk to you about your tax situation and see if there are any problems that we can solve for you. And once we get that back stuff taken care of and behind you, we can proactively look forward and start having better results year after year after year going forward. All right, thank you.